Well, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Weidi, for joining us. It's a great honor to introduce you. So Weidi, I know her work when I was on SIGGRAPH Art Gallery jury, and we came across Weidi's work, and I was just blown away with the beauty and how thought-provocative it is, and the execution. And then the following year, both of us were showing at SIGGRAPH Art Gallery in Los Angeles, where we overlapped there and we had some conversation, exchanged some notes. So it's a great honor to know you, Weidi. So with that, I want to read your introduction. Weidi Zhang is a new media artist, designer, and assistant professor of immersive experience design at Arizona State University. Her interdisciplinary research explores a speculative assemblage at the intersection of immersive media, data visualization, and interactive AI art. Zhang's works have received many international recognitions and basically received many international recognitions such as ACM SIGGRAPH, Red Dot, Prix Arts Ars Electronica, Muse Design Awards, Asia Pacific Design, and the Lumen Prize. Her installations and performances have been presented at leading new media art venues worldwide, such as ICEA, Times Art Museum, Art House in New York City, File, V2 Lab, Current New Media, Mutech, anyway, many different places. She has a PhD in media arts and technology from UC Santa Barbara, an MFA from CalArts, and a BFA from University of Washington. With that, it's a great pleasure to have you, Weidi, with us today, and to you. So I'm going to stop sharing so you can share your screen when you're ready.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you, Binars, for introducing me, and it's my honor and feel super humbled to be here. And I've been following Binar's work for many years and definitely a huge fan. So it means a lot to be invited. Super happy to be here. Yeah, I just want to share some of my recent projects and hopefully it could be somehow inspiring to you guys. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Um, okay, so give me 1 second. Let me see the. Okay, cool. Okay, so during my presentation, if the connectivity issue happens, please let me know. Feel free to interrupt me anytime. And okay, so here is my topic, artificial memory and collective presence. And my research is at the intersection of database, immersive media design, interactive AI arts, and I design art experiences in collaboration with AI and participants to make the immersive experience ever evolving. As Binars has just introduced, I have a fine art background. So I was a photography student when I was an undergraduate, when I was in my undergrad school. And then I completely shift my direction from photography to media arts and technology when I pursue my master degrees from California Institute of the Arts. And then I was working in industry as concept artist and designers, excuse me, designers in industry. And then I went back to school to pursue my PhD degrees in media arts and technology from UC Santa Barbara. So basically, that's my experience. So today, basically my research practices has two tracks. So I was working on a lot of interactive AI art media installations, and I also have a dream of being like audio visual artist. So I have a side track. I did a lot of immersive audio visual performances in dome settings or in immersive projections, galleries. And so today I decided just to share with you two projects of more focus on the AI art and research I did in the recent 3 years. So basically, I will focus on the three projects I did. One is called MAS.s60, which is my most recent project. And the other project is called Recollection. And Recollection is actually a series of projects. It has two parts. So I'm going to introduce those two parts in details today. Okay, so so firstly, I would like to introduce Recollection. And I basically it's a collaborative work, so I want to credit my amazing collaborator. His name is Roger Luo, and he is my previous PhD colleague when I was in this lab, experimental visualization lab, directed by Professor George LaGrady, who is the pioneer of interactive art. So basically, we collaborate on this project when I almost like finished my dissertation. So it started from 2022. And the first part of this project is an interactive AI art installation. And the second part is called You Only Have 7 Seconds. It's a AI film. So it was released this year. Okay, so for the motivation of this project, so basically it comes from a very abstract personal story. In 2022, my grandmother suffered from memory regression, and that's kind of like the side symptom of her COVID. And it's really upset to witness her cherished story dissolved into fragmented language. And it's also in 2022, there's amazing like emergence of text-to-image model release. And I think it can possibly have some connections because I feel like it kind of offers a new perspective as it kind of celebrate the power of language. And I think can possibly imagine and reassemble fragmented memory based on like language input and to weave what time and disease has stolen. So I started this research project just from this very personal story, and I started researching the medical humanity fields. I realized that over 55 million people face this painful reality of memory loss due to Alzheimer and related dementias. So I want to create an installation that could invite the participants to speak about their fading memories within a certain time, and then it can transform into a visual environment in real time. And I think it can possibly weave what time and disease has stolen in this case. So that's the initial kind of motivation. And I want to share a documentation of this installation first, and then I'm gonna explain the details of the technical execution and aesthetic decisions. Okay, so I'm gonna share this video. Let me make sure this audio is also.
Giving birth to my son was the best thing I ever did.
I took a cross-country road trip with my friend without any final destination.
초등학교 때 나무 아래에서 친구들과 도시락을 먹었다.
Cuando mi mamá y hermanas viajes en
jugar fútbol en el parque.
所有东西都在摇晃，所有东西都在掉下来，地板裂开。
I remember going to Disney World for a Christmas party and seeing fake snow fall from the sky.
Okay, so that's the documentation of our installation. And we started working on this project actually from the mid 2022 and finished by the end of year. So it was pretty timely installation at that time. And I come up with this design question in connection with language, imagination, alternative narratives, and visual memories. And specifically, I did the medical humanity research related to this installation and find out language and memory are closely linked, and they both essentially shaping our communication and understanding. However, dementia disrupts this intricate relationship, leading to varied impact on cognitive functions and language abilities, and often regarded as the key to selfhood in the Western thoughts. And there is a therapy called reminiscence therapy, and it has been considered as this cornerstone person-centered care in dementia care, and utilizing like multisensory activities to evoke memories and affirm identity and aiming to restore lost self. However, these therapy often place the caregivers in a very complex position, and it kind of challenge the existing structure of caregiving without providing a very clear pathway for necessary structural adjustments. And this underscores the intricate balance required in recognizing and supporting personhood while navigating the reality of caregiving, as well as in going beyond the normative Western ideals of active, agentic, autonomous cognitive subjects, and to rethink subjectivity as a multi-open-ended, interconnected identity. So in this context, we find out our researchers actually resonate with the idea coming up by medical humanity researcher. His name is Nick Jenkins, that he proposed instead of to repair or restore memories, we can see ourselves to see the memories as an interbody self, as a montage. So we can see our memories ever evolving and to reimagine memories. So that's kind of like connectivity between our artistic research with the research in the medical humanity fields. And here is the system diagram of recollection. So on the left side is basically the top view of the installation. And we invite the participants to speak about their 3D memories within 7 seconds. We do the speech recognition in real time to transform the voice input into text. And then we do text auto-completion to adding a lot of imaginative details to the 3D memories, basically to transform the descriptive sentence into a full story, a full narrative. And then we do text to image conversion, and we do the stable diffusion. And we did not use stable diffusion model directly. We basically fine-tuning this model. We got inspiration from the documentaries on Alzheimer's, such as A Marriage to Remember. So we define like 2 distinct agents in prompts, and the first agent controls the content, assuring the narrative is coherent, contextually relevant. And we have the second agent influences the visual style against how camera lens is shooting angle might affect the visualization of film. So this dual agent approach basically create a storyboard in written form, adding a layer of depth and sophistication to the generative narrative. And the generative image is, in this case, is mostly related to love and loss, and it's pretty nostalgic in this way. And we do multiple layers of image processing. Specifically, I use Touch Designer as my main tool for recent projects. So I basically utilizing Touch to receiving the image data in real time and also the text data, and then do multiple layers of processing and presented this visualization as a real-time animation in the space. So that's the basically technical pipeline for a project. And for all of my projects, I never use AI's generative image as my direct visual output. I always like to kind of incorporate my artistic decisions in the final delivery. So instead of utilizing like showcase a direct visual output from stable diffusion model, we drew the inspiration from fine art practices, such as monotype, which is the printmaking technique tracing its origins to 1640s, and also like the slick scan photography known for capturing the sequential slices of a subject over time. And we feel it's very much related to our topic about like visual representation of fading memories. Basically, I want to combining those algorithmic approaches, generative methodologies with the idea of fine art practices to investigate new aesthetic that explore the fleeting visual imagery undergoing dissolution, tilting, printing, and reprinting over time. So technically, I programmed in Touch Designer, did the pixel shifting displacement, feedback system, optical flow, to kind of transforming the generative image to into a sequence of visual images, images by analyzing the original input. And we do have a bunch of different iterations when we exhibit this piece because we finished it by the end of 2022. The first installation was in ICEA in Paris, but it goes online in the end. So the actual like in-person installation was at SIGGRAPH, and it was in 2023. And I got the inspiration from this intimate nostalgic vintage aesthetic of Polaroid photographs. And I want to do the visualization, kind of reassemble an unfolding photo book and presenting the generative visuals within the frames and alongside descriptive sentences. However, during the exhibition, I observed that participants often feel a disconnection between the narrative and the visuals in this edition. So here comes my second iteration. So this was in Vancouver International Film Festival. They have a collaboration with Signal Immersive Gallery. So we presented at Signal. And for this case, I drew inspiration from observing people gazing at river water reflections. So they often see themselves portrayed within this ripples and creatures and creating this moving and abstract reflections. So in this case, I adopted a circular shape and incorporating the narrative, the text information within this visualization as the graphical components. And when people gaze into this visualization, they feel as their memories were recreated and reflected and reimagined in real time. And I also want to highlight that our AI system can recognize 98 different languages. So it facilitates multilingual input and really highlighting the inclusivity of our experience. And during one of our exhibit in Budapest, we welcome over like 1,000 international visitors from diverse cultural backgrounds, like including Japan, Iran, Korea, France, Germany, US, and other nations. And we always encourage them to speak in the language they feel most close to. So this kind of approach aims to create an intimate memory experience for storytelling purpose. And it's really heartwarming to witnessing the participants' excitement in sharing their personal stories in their native language and their excitement seeing their memories synthesized in real time. And it's also so moved to witnessing some participants became teary-eyed upon seeing the generative visuals. They also shared that the visuals somehow related to the events from their past and capturing some imaginative details that is culturally related. And here is another iteration. So we have an immersive setup. We have a projections on the curved screen mapped with 3 projectors to make it more immersive environments. And this piece also featured in a lot of design awards in the press. And I want to highlight this when our projects got featured in Neuro magazine, which is the avant-garde Italy, the new media art magazine in Italy. And we also presented our article about this project in SIGGRAPH last year in Denver. And one of our co-author, she's a postdoc from University of Sheffield in UK, and her research area is medical humanities. So we kind of co-authored this article, and she also present our artworks at the conference from her research fields. And I feel so excited to share our art installation with the researchers from medical humanity fields. And Nick Jenkins also gave us some feedback. I feel so excited. So basically that's how we present our multidisciplinary design work. And during the international exhibitions, our data sets expanded, and it's really forming a living archive. And exhibiting recollection internationally became even more interesting once we began creating this film. It's called You Only Have 7 Seconds, from the archive of our collected inputs. So basically, based on the input, with the participants' permission, early this year, I started working on this film, and we're so excited. So we basically review all the recorded data, and we curate the data and utilize the recorded data to transform it into a AI film. And it was called You Only Have 7 Seconds, and this is the poster of our film. And basically, we incorporate AI pipeline for this film. So I want to explain it a little bit. So from all the collected data, so on the upper side of this diagram, it's the pipeline for our installation. And we have thousands of the data sets we collected, and we select 64 groups of the curated participator data sets, and each containing the original audio recorded, the expanded text, the generative image, and then we use the images served as the seed frame, and then processed with the runway Gen 3 to produce 64 corresponding 10 seconds video clips. And we further added this videos and do a lot of like post productions. And I also invite a musician. He's from Switzerland, and he worked on the audio part. So we compose all the recorded audio data sets, and then we do a lot of audio reactive visuals as well during in this film. So the relation, we want to investigate the politics of relations. And during our installation, we feel we mostly build the connections between humans and machines. And for this film, we focus more on the relationship between humans and humans, and also how machine interpret this politics of relations between human beings, and to present it as a film piece. So as I mentioned, we do have a very big data sets, and it takes a long time, a lot of labor to review all of them. And we found out that there's a commonality and differences from the memories from participants all over the world. Because our installation do travel to many different countries, and we have the audiences from diverse cultural backgrounds. And we basically kind of categorize the data sets into 5 topics that we find that participants shared something in common. And the 5 categories are the memories of family bonds, a lot of people sharing this, and also the taste-related recollections, the places are remembered, the memories of personal achievements, and everyday experience that flow between us. So basically, those elements seems pretty ordinary, but actually those are the fragments often carry very deep emotional resonance, and together form a shared human experience. And I feel like these things are not fixed, they basically flow into one another, transitioning naturally and intertwining throughout this work. So I want to just give you guys an example. So this film opens as if a person tells a story of his father, but in reality, it's actually a mosaic of voices from many different participants talking about their father. And we kind of form this story in this way and intentionally create an illusion of a complete story and gradually to break it apart. And we also retain the raw texture of the documentary. So we deliberately left a lot of imperfection, real moments that enhance the storytelling, like during the installation, someone testing the microphone and getting confused about the process, or someone spontaneously asking to start over this installation. And we intentionally incorporate those imperfect moments into our film. And these fragments and unscripted clips may seem pretty flawed, but they serve as a gentle reminder that this is not a polished, tightly edited film, but it's a real open and collaborative process between human beings. So that's something we want to emphasize in our film. And as I mentioned, we in the first installation, we do a lot of image processing techniques to further process the generative images. We got inspiration from fine art practices, and we further kind of develop the visualization in this film. And I integrate the blob tracking systems and also programming OpenGL shading language to build the particle system that transform the image edges into particles and animate it through the turbulence dynamics. And we also include a real-time audio-visual interactions through the FFT-based sound spectral analysis and allowing the visuals to respond directly to voice and sounds. So ultimately, our goal is to present a visual language with emotional resonance that merge generative AI with real-time image processing techniques. Yeah, it's just we feel we want to build the connections between participatory data sets, intelligent systems analysis, and the cinematic approach for this film. And it's pretty honored to recently we just received the best AI art video in the Reno Artificial Intelligence Film Festival, which is the first artificial intelligence film festival in Europe. And we got this award and feel super honored. And we also our film is just got this cover story from Prompt AI Prompt Magazine, and they featured at our work. And 2 weeks ago, we presented the related articles in IEEE Visualization Conference art paper sessions, talking about the details of how we make this film. So that's kind of some academic output of our work. And for this project, basically, we want to celebrate the multiplicity of human expressions and to see our memories as a living and breathing and shared wood building experience. And so basically from creating this work initially as a more like personal reflections, and gradually when we exhibit this piece and meet with more people and have more participants involved, it becomes a wood building experience. So that's something really inspired me when I create interactive work after this project. And so that's the record of our exhibition. And I also want to credit my amazing team to collaborate on this film. We do have an amazing sound designer, Paul Schmidt, and we also have a screenwriter, Li Jiazicheng, who is amazing writers. Yeah, so that's for our recollection series. And then I want to use the rest of the time of my presentation to introduce my current project. It is called MAS.s60, and it's an interactive AI art installation that constructs a decentralized city in real time based on the visual memories contributed by its participants. This project is kind of like my continued interest in memory recreation and also artificial intelligence assisted art installation. So that's kind of continual research. So the initial motivation for this project comes from my observation of our virtual presence. I feel like our virtual presence existed within a walled garden that appears pretty open and connected, but it's actually enclosed by the platform architectures and centralized control. So in envisioning the architecture of our future virtual existence, I actually compelled by the question of what might a virtual city look like? Would it grow organically into a decentralized urban layout and sustaining collective autonomy and shared presence? And also interested in the question of can intelligent system learn from the historical complexity of a decentralized city and to imagine the new systems that structure our future virtual habitation. So those are like the design question or research questions of this project. And I'm also interested in how we can transform memory into a architecture and how we can spatialize identities and to create the virtual communities throughout this wood building practices. Yeah, so I imagine this future virtual settlements, and I turn to history and find the poetic and spatial strategies. And finding Kowloon City in Hong Kong is a precedent for decentralized system of habitation. Kowloon City began as a very small military outpost and eventually became a garrison as Qing governments tried to push back against British colonial expansion. And after the 1898 list of new territories, this tiny 2.7 hectare pocket was left in this kind of strange state of legal and political limbo. And technically, it's under Chinese government's control, but practically, it's ungoverned. And that's the time when something really remarkable happened. So free from the state oversight, the wood city transformed into a dense and self-organized and highly adaptive urban system. And by 1990, more than 50,000 people were living in a space no bigger than two rugby fields. And it was not a chaos, but it was just a complex system and a decentralized and living architecture shaped not by policy, but by people. So that's something we feel really resonate with. And the architecture of the wood city didn't follow a like urban design plan. It simply like grew organically and unpredictably into a very dense and intricate maze of corridors, staircases, overlapping structures that make this conventional mapping nearly impossible. And instead of using the blueprints, the residents navigate by memories and experience. They create their own mental maps and shaped more by the daily use rather than by the urban design. So, for example, take the retail shops and clinics as example. They are not placed by the zoning rules. They basically cluster naturally along the Tai Tao Shen Road and Longshan Road because those streets were easily accessible to both locals and visitors. And for the food factories, they kind of gravitated towards the Taichung streets where the public standpipes provide the water they need to operate. So basically, this city was formed by daily use and by people. Um, and socially, the same pattern also exists with no centralized control. People constantly reconfigure how they live and interacted, and community formed and dissolved and reformed, and it's always adapting and always evolving over time. And this kind of self-organized and bottom-up, non-hierarchical way of living is what exactly align with what I imagine a wood city, the virtual future settlement in this project. And I think it's not a historical curiosity, but it's more a inspirational model and metaphors for how system can evolve when we left it to grow it on its own. And yeah, so basically, I love the idea of the social organism, the megastructure, and the living community. So that's how I started making this project. Basically, we adapt the urban organizations, aesthetic, cultural influences of Kowloon City as the foundational knowledge for our system. And during the exhibition, the participants are invited to upload image that encode their personal visual memories. And then our system analyze and transform each image into a unique architectural chamber, and that chamber serving as a vessel of memory, and then integrated as a building block within a broader evolving structure of the cityscape. So I want to share this documentation video first, and now I'll explain the details of it. Okay. Yeah, again, I want to share some of the technical details of our project. So basically, we have this pedestal set in the center of the exhibition space, and we have a tablet on it with the QR code and a documentation video on top of it. And then we invite the participants to use their mobile phone to scan the QR code, and then leads to our website, the mobile sites. And then they can just uploading one image from their album and in their mobile phone, and then that image will be received in the by the our AI system in the server. Basically, we have this custom multi-agent AI system, and we have one agent to analysis the scene attributes, the semantic information, and to generate pretty high-level descriptive sentences and semantic information of the input images. And then we have another agents to generate a interpret and stylize the input images in the aesthetic of Kowloon City. And then we also have an agent to generate depth image. Basically, we use depth anything to generate this depth image. So basically, utilizing generative image and depth image, we can program a in touch design environments. I basically write in OpenGL shading language to create this kind of 3D reconstruction point cloud-based architectural space. And then we have another agent that inspired by the dense logic of Kowloon City and urban layouts, the data we have I'll explain the data later, but basically we utilizing Kowloon City as the foundation information to our system, and then we can generate the XYZ coordinates of each chamber, of each capsule, and then also the width and height dimensions for each building block to build this kind of modular growth of the cityscape. So basically, when we have more and more participants involved, this cityscape is expanding and it's getting more and more dense in a way. Okay, so we have this the multi-agent system, and we have this agentic workflow, and we have agents work together to get things done automatically. It's a self-directed AI-powered workflow, can plan, act, and improve on its own to complete this complex task. And I want to also explain the details of interactive experience design of our projects. So yeah, when the participants scan the QR code at the installation, they are directed to this mobile sites, and then it activates this loading scene in the environment. And this loading scene is actually the wireframe and point cloud based on the reconstruction of 1970s aerial photograph of Kowloon City and processed via photogrammetry by geoinformation provided by the scholar Yu Kan Him Auto. And this opening scene overlays with artistic reinterpretation of historical map of Kowloon City from 1980s, created by Japanese scholar Eko Soga and Takayuki. And the Japanese researchers actually visited Kowloon City in person, and they drew this amazing map with all the details of different chambers, different rooms, captures the functions. They mark all the details, and it's a really amazing map. I think it's open source online. If you guys interested, definitely can visit it after today's presentation. And basically, we're utilizing this map as one of the visual components in the further process it with edge detection and animated through Perlin noise to create this archive-like unfolding map scroll. And then we have the second event. So when the system analyzed the participants' visual input, it firstly displayed a visualization of previous 10 participants' contributions and effectively introducing the current participants, their emergent neighborhood, and each data sets including the categories of the previous users uploaded images, the corresponding AI generative image, the depth image, reasoning metadata, and spatial coordinates, XYZ, dimensions, and a brief title indicating the function of this generative chamber. And then we showing our main, like the key art of our installation. That's the chamber created based on the image the current user submitted. So they will see how AI transformed their submitted image into this architectural structure. And this new chamber is visualized for the current participants, and I drew the inspiration from the artwork of Chiharu Shiota, who is my longtime favorite artist, doing a lot of installation work. And I got inspiration from her. I really want to create the memory spaces kind of wrapped by the threads. And I want to explore how lines can be embedded into the spatial form to create a poetic architectural capsule. So I programmed in OpenGL shading language, and I construct the 3D point cloud structure based on the AI generative images and its depth animation. It took me a long time to finally figure out the visual executions. And the resulting chamber also echoes with the cyberpunk aesthetic of Kowloon City, categorized by its spatial density, material layering, and the fractured light. And I want to evoke that kind of a little bit like cinematic atmosphere. And the points and the lines is animated, driven by the layer of noise patterns. And I do have a feedback system combined with optical flow tracing the movements of the particles. Basically, my goal is just to create the visual of the aesthetic of wiring a space. And I also got inspiration from diorama, and it kind of offers a framed and self-contained world that captures a moment in time. And I think that's interesting. And I want to invite the viewers to observe from outside and object and projecting meaning inward. And yeah, so that's the goal. And then that's the last event. After presenting the 3D reconstructions based on the submitted images, the system placed the new residents within the city structure based on AI's decision. So the chamber is highlighted in the current 3D visualization of the city view. And with its expanding database, the city view is getting more and more complex and interesting. And it kind of established a relational spatial identity for the new residents. And for this piece, before we finish the interactive system, we actually already have an audio-visual show in Budapest 2 years ago, utilizing, it's not real time, it's pre-rendered animation. And it's kind of early aesthetic exploration of this work. And later, early this year, we finally figure out all the technological details of this work and have its first releasing Mixed Center Media and Immersive Experience Center in our program, Arizona State University. And yeah, it's kind of more local release of this project. And then last month, I traveled to Vancouver to have this immersive installation in Vancouver to have more audiences from diverse cultural backgrounds. And that's also, we saw a lot of interesting memories contributed to our cityscape. Yeah, and the ideal installation setup is with a LED screen and with the QR code on the tablets. So to conclude this work, basically it transformed the personal and collective visual memories into a decentralized and evolving virtual city. And this was also featured by the amazing curators, Arondo and Alfredo. They write a review of our work. We feel super honored. And it was in AI Art Magazine. And I really love their quote about our project. They said this project is not nostalgic, rather it reflects on density, proximity, and how private fragments can be reassembled into shared space. So I love this quote. I want to just share this. And this work connects with the AI system, with the historical urban memory, and turning the contribution into forms, and then forms into relations. And I want to raise the question of what is protected by the walls and what is kept apart in the wood building of future settlement. So that's the goal of this project. And we do have upcoming, that's kind of advertisement of our project, sorry. So we do have an upcoming show in Florida, Miami next month, and it will be up in Met Art Museum for half a year. So if you ever pass Miami, you are more than welcome just to visit our installation. And yeah, thank you so much. And I want to conclude my presentation with this slide. So I feel the future is inherently unknowable. What future might emerge and what kind of vectors might be possible from the historical nodes, and how can we create a critical future ideation that probably make an impact through art and design. So basically my practices transform the image making process into a composited experience through layers of processing, which combines machines automation with artistic decisions that encodes unstructured information to data, and from data to cultural artifacts, and then to present as a composited reality to the participants. And I think the process of making this all of my research project it's less about making a bowl of salad, but more about cooking a soup. It's to build a liquid network and to build a culture that blends human and computer meanings. So that's for my presentation, and here's my Instagram, email address, and feel free to ask me any question. More than happy to have a conversation with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Weidi. That was incredible. I guess we open up to questions from the students. That was very inspiring. Thank you, Weidi. Questions? Yes. I think you can speak from there. Do you hear?
Can you hear me? I'm coming up too. Hello.
Come down, maybe sit. There.
Thank you so much for the presentation. The visuals is stunning, and I
Thank you.
thinking of Chiharu, the artist. There was an exhibition that happened during the summer in Boston where she had a
really?
about home, and that really resonated. You know, connecting that her work and your style. And my question, you know, like you're talking about going from personal memory into a collective, and into this imagination where people are able to project their own memory into it. The only thing that is, I guess, consistent throughout the three things is your style of this very kind of, you call it like a wire within the city framework. And I was wondering, does this specific style allow people to project their memories into this collective space? Have you found that because it is, I guess, more abstract, that people are more open to imaginations? Like, how is this kind of style, how do you know that this is the right framework for people to project their memories onto it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I really love your comments. And I feel, so first of all, I think I want to utilizing this kind of aesthetic approach to emphasize ambiguity because I feel like the memory is an evolving selfhood, as I mentioned. And I feel a lot of moments that the visual representation should be more abstract because when we when we actually visualize memories, when we represent our memories, there's a lot of imaginative details exist. So I feel like it's really interesting when we having the emphasis on the ambiguity in our visual representations. And also, I want to mention that I think all of my visual approaches is actually assemblage. It's assemblage of machines decision and also artistic decisions. And for machines decisions, I always embrace uncertainty. And it has been utilized by 20th century artists for in there a lot of creative practices, like they embrace chance and choice operations in their like Alan Capro's art performance, right? So I think in my case, I also embrace chance and choice operation in the AI assisted work. It's existed in the algorithms. It also existed in audiences real-time feedback. So the visual is evolving and it's never looped. So I think it kind of create experience rather than a looped animation video space. So that's also one of my the reasons for making these visual decisions. Yeah, I hope this answer your question. And I feel like my practices is at the intersection of conceptual art and contemporary design practices. So it's not completely design driven. Sometimes there's also a lot of original kind of intuitive decisions in the visual making process as well. So yeah, hope it answers the question.
With your follow-up question, would you ever imagine to use colors in your work?
Sorry, I think I missed your question. What did you say?
Follow-up question, would you ever imagine to use colors in your work?
Yeah, so I think for the award city, I just let the colors. So I do have the colors for different chambers. It really depends on the images participants submitted. So we kind of extract the color palettes from the submitted images and then implement it to the generative images through AI system design. So the colors is basically out of my hand. Yeah.
Any other questions? Comments? I have another question if no one is asking any questions. So when you're, recollection is really a strong work. I found it, I experienced it myself during SIGGRAPH, and it was an interesting experience, but I guess few pragmatic questions, like people sharing their memory. How people, are you, very pragmatic. Like, are you having like subject consents for doing like publications after? I'm just curious about this sort of participatory art practices. Do you have consent? That's one question. The other question is, how do you foster the sense of safety for people to share their most vulnerable aspects of their life, like their memories? How do you make sure they feel safe to even share these things? What could you have in your design space for that?
Yeah, so I think that's also a really good question. I think in our most of our installation, when we record our data, basically we have this notice on the screen and say we have this poster saying your data will be recorded, etc. So basically they know they kind of know don't share like something they feel too sensitive. And also we in our system, if we do set up this kind of rules, if any people share something is more related to violence or etc., we will generate a track. So it's kind of like the secret rule in our system. And what is the other question? I think I missed.
How do you make sure people share, like creating a safer space to share, like they're not feeling awkward to share a memory in front of other people? Like voice is something that people hear each other. Like if I'm a memory or a memory, anyone in the room would hear it. So those memories are authentic memories. Like I share my authentic memory.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a really good question. So basically, in our installation, I think in SIGGRAPH it's a different scenario because it's our first release. I think there's a lot of flawed design in the installation. And from our second installation, we have the audio in the background, and the audio volume is pretty strong, and people cannot hear each other's voices when they whisper to the microphone. So that makes the participants feel more comfortable by sharing. And also, other visitors will not see the original text, but they will see the generated text based on their voice input. And it kind of integrate in as a graphical components. So it's kind of forming a visualization to make the participants feel more comfortable during the process. And I think that's the goal. So we basically designed this environmental sound to make them feel more comfortable. Yeah.
Thank you. Any final comments before questions, Anna?
Yeah.
Sorry to put you in the spot.
Totally. It's something that really stood out to me, because I work on music and sound, was how I think in maybe the recollection work, how the voice, like you were analyzing kind of the emotional kind of trajectory or qualities of the voice to process the visuals. I didn't draw that connection. I guess because there's like multiple layers of uncertainty that's added by the system. The augmented, and then the augmented prompt becomes the visuals. Like you use this very direct kind of emotional, like kind of like transmodality kind of connection to kind of like tie things together. So I felt that was really interesting. So I was curious, maybe in your other work or maybe this work, if there's other aspects you think about this kind of audio-visual connection.
Yeah, I think that's something I'm really interested in your research and your lab is doing. Basically, I feel like the audio part is the medium I less explored during my all of my previous installation. And I do want to incorporate artificial intelligence in a certain way to kind of also follow the idea of multi-layered dynamic composition and how we build a system that engage the machine's decisions and audience's feedback and artistic decisions as well. But for my installation, basically what I did is just to have a soundscape and there's some interactive components, but it's not that complicated and conceptually interesting. So that's definitely the area I want to further explore in the future. And I also want to share that for my audio visual performance, the audio is always like composed by my collaborator, so it's not by me. So I always like to investigate how we can collaborate on to audio visual practices that is not just like the data transformation, but more conceptually related and to create that synergy. Yeah, I think that's the area I want to further explore. Thank you for pointing out. Yeah.
I think the current form is already really, really amazing. And so, yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I know we're past 5, so thank you so much, Weidi. It was absolutely inspiring to see your work. Best of luck, and I hope that we cross paths again in person somewhere in the world very, very soon. With that, please help me thanking Weidi.
Thank you. Hope you guys have a good day. See you. Bye-bye.